Hello everyone and welcome to SimpliCode's YouTube channel. Kaushal this side and I hope you guys are doing well. Today, we'll be taking you through something interesting. In this tutorial, we'll create a Wordle game from scratch using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. I believe you guys must have played this game somewhere, but let's create one of our own today and we'll see how easy it is to create this whole game using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Before we begin, make sure that you have subscribed to our YouTube channel and press that bell icon to never miss any updates from SimpliCode. So without any further delay, let's get started. Before we move on to the programming part, let's discuss what a Wordle game is. The Wordle is a popular 5-letter word guessing game that has become popular in the last couple of months. The game was actually designed by a software engineer as a gift for his partner, but with time, the game gained popularity. And now everyone on social media is talking about this game only. The rules for this game are simple. The game tells you if the letters you picked are in the word and if they are in the right place as well. If the letter is in the right spot, it shows up green, and the correct letter in the wrong spot shows up yellow. A letter that isn't present in the word at all shows up gray in color. So let's go through the game once and you guys will understand it much better. Here we are in the browser. You can see we have blocks over here and a keyboard present beneath them. We have 6 rows over here and each row contains 5 columns for each letter of the word. The task is simple. We have only one correct word. If we write something on the first row, the system will check for all the letters. If a letter is present at the correct place, then the color of that particular letter will change to green. For example, if we write here river, and press enter key, you can see all the words or all the letters of this word change to green. This means that none of these letters are present in the word. So let's try another word. We'll write here apple, press the enter key and you can see A is correct but present at the wrong spot. Let's try some more now. We'll write here, let's say Tokyo. Fine. Click on enter and you can see O is also correct and the last word is O. Now we have 2 letters of the word. We have A and O. O is present at the last and A is present in the word. So let's think of any word which is like this. The word coming in my mind right now is, let's try mango over here. So we'll write here mango. Click on enter and you can see mango is the correct word for this Wordle game. Fine. We can get any random word from the word list we have in a JavaScript part. So we'll discuss about it later on. So I hope you guys got what this game is. So let's move again to the programming part now. So here we are in the HTML part. Now the task is to create this whole game again from scratch. So here we are in the VS Code and we'll start writing the code for the same. Now we'll create the layout of this web page using HTML first. So let's say what we are doing here is we are writing here inside the body. We are writing here h1. Let's say the ID is h1 title. Fine, title is the ID for this. And now what we'll do is we'll use an underline tag. So we'll write something over here. We'll write here Wordle using JavaScript. Fine, save the program and this is our actual program. Save it now, open it with live server once again. And you can see we have this heading over here which says Wordle using JavaScript, which is underlined as well. Now let's write the code again. So what we are going to do here is we are going to use a break tag. Now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to take a div. So this div is going to be for the board. So we are going to create the board of this game later on in the CSS part. We'll keep this div empty here. Now the next thing we have to do here is we have to use another break tag and then we have to print the answer as well, right? So we'll write here br. Now we'll write here h1. So inside h1 the ID is going to be, let's say, answer. And then inside this h1 we'll keep this empty. Fine, we are done with the HTML part. We'll manage the rest in the CSS and the JavaScript parts as well. So let's move on to the CSS part now. But before that, let's save this program and you can see nothing is changing over here in the browser. So let's move on to the CSS part now. Here we are in the CSS file. What we'll do is we'll write here body. Now we'll first style the body tag of a whole web page. So we'll write here font family. So font family is going to be Gill Sans, and then we'll write here Gill Sans MT, sorry. And then we'll write here Calibri, and then we have this over here. So we'll write here Trebuchet MS, and then we have sans serif over here. So here we are done with this, and it's showing some error over here. So what we have to do is we have to put this inside single inverted commas as well. Now let's zoom out the VS Code, and here you can see something is wrong over here. So the wrong thing is we have to put this sans serif inside single inverted commas and calibrate like this. So we are done with the font family. Next thing we are going to do here is we are going to write here text align at the center. Then we have background color. So what we are going to do is we are going to use the linear gradient over here. So we'll write here linear gradient. Now inside this we have to pass the degree or the angle, we can say. So we'll write here degree as 120. Then we have specific colors. So we'll write here 33B 7CE. Fine. So this is one of those colors. Then we'll write here 50%, and then we have another color. So we'll write here hash 218ED6. So we'll write here 218ED6, and this is a second color. We'll write here 50% again. Now save the program, move back to the browser, and we'll see if this is working fine. So this is working fine as of now. We'll check back at it later. Now the next thing we have to do here is we have to style the HR tag as well. So we'll write here width as 500 pixels for this HR tag. Save the program, move back to the browser, and you can see nothing has changed over here. So the next thing we have to mention over here is the title tag. So we have the ID as title for our title. So we'll write here title. Now inside this we'll write the font size. Font size is going to be 36 pixel for the title. Then we have font weight. So we'll write here font weight as bold. Then we have letter spacing. So we'll write here letter spacing as 2 pixels for this. Save the program, move back to the browser, and you can see we have this heading over here which says Wordle using JavaScript, and that's it. So the next thing we are going to do here is we are going to write the code for bold. So we'll write here hash bold, and we'll write here width of this board is going to be 350 pixels. So we'll write here 350. Then we have the height as well. So we'll write here the height as 420 pixels. And then we have margin. So we'll write here margin. Margin is going to be 0 and auto. Then we have margin top. So we'll write here margin top. Okay, so we have to write a margin top, and margin top is going to be 3 pixels. So we'll write here 3 pixels. Then we have the display as flex, and then lastly we have the flex wrap. So we'll write here flex wrap as wrap. Now save the program, and here you can see some things are changed over here. Now let's style other things as well. So the next thing we have to change here is the tile. So tile is a class over here. We'll go back to HTML, and you can see we have no class named tile over here. So we'll define this class later on in the JavaScript part. So we'll write here tile. Now inside here what we'll do is we'll style the box first. So we'll put a comment over here as box. Then we'll write here border. Border is going to be 2 pixels solid, and the RGB value of the border color is 19. Then for green we have 18, and for blue we have 18. Fine. So this is the border color. Then we have width. So width is going to be 60 pixels, and then we have height as well. So we'll write here height is going to be 60 pixels again. Then we have margin, so we'll write here margin is going to be 2.5 pixels, let's say. Now we'll style the text as well, so we'll mention it over here, we'll comment text over here. Now we'll define the color, so the color for text is going to be black. Then we have the font size is going to be 36 pixels, and after font size we have the font weight, so we'll write here font weight is going to be bold. Then we have display, so we'll write here display as flex, and then we have justify content at the center, and finally we have align items at the center, so we'll write here align items at center. So here we are done with the styling of the body, title and board. Now we are left with the keyboard, the colors for correct, absent and present letters. So we'll write the code for it later on. For now, let's move ahead to the JavaScript part, but before that let's save this program once and we'll check. So here you can see nothing is changed as of now. So let's refresh it once and we'll see if something is wrong or not. So here you can see nothing is wrong, everything is working totally fine. Let's go back to the JavaScript part and we'll go through the logic behind this whole game now. So here we are in the JavaScript part. We'll start writing the code over here. So here you can see we have the keyboard already with us. So this is going to be our keyboard. Now the next thing we are going to do here is we are going to take a variable as height. So the value of height is going to be 6 initially. So this is basically the number of guesses we have in our program. So basically we have 6 number of guesses. That's why we are taking the variable height as 6. Then we have the variable width. So width of each word is going to be 5 letters. So the width is going to be 5. Then we have a variable as row, and the initial value of row is going to be 0. That's because of the current guesses, or we can say the current attempt. Then we have a variable call, so we'll use 0 for this variable as well. So this is the current letter for that attempt. Now we'll take another variable over here. We'll take a variable game over, and the initial value of this variable is going to be false. Fine. The game over variable is for game over. If the game is over, then the value will change to true. Here we have taken the height variable as 6 and the word's width is 5 letters. The current row will be 0 and the call variable is also set to 0. The game over variable is initially set to false. That's it, right? So let's move ahead and we'll create 2 lists now. The first one is going to be a list of words and the second one will be a list of guessed words. So if the user enters a word, then the guessed word list will be checked if the word is present in the list or not. If the entered word is not present in the list, then the system will return that the word is not present. So what we'll do is we'll write here where word list. So we'll write here where word list is equals to, we are going to take a list of words. So let's say we have some words over here. We'll write here apple, and then we have mango. So there are basically a lot of words present inside this list, maybe more than 1000, 2000 or 3000 words. So for now it's just a prototype of this whole Wordle game. So we are going to take 4 or 5 different types of words. That's it. The next word we have is river. Then we have hyped. So we'll write here hyped. And then we have Tokyo. So we'll write here Tokyo, let's say. We'll take another word over here. So let's say we have title over here and we have Ouija. Fine. So we have to write here hyped with a small h, and that's it. This is our word list. Now we are going to create another list. This time we are going to create the guess list, which will contain all the words that can be guessed by the user. So inside the guess list, we'll write here apple, then mango, then we have river, hyped. So we are basically going to take all these words and we are going to paste them over here. Now let's use some more words. So let's say we are using here carbo. Then we have, let's say, another word over here, proxy. Fine. So we have these words in the guest list as well. Now the next thing we have to do is the guest list will also contain the words from the word list, right? So what we'll do here is we'll write here guest list, and guest list is going to be guest list dot concat. So what we are doing here is we are basically performing concatenation. So we'll write here word list inside this, and that's it. Now it's time to pick up a random word from the word list we have. For that, we'll use traditional math.random method. So for that, what we'll do is we'll write here where word, and we are going to take this variable and we'll write here word list. Then inside this, what we are going to do is we are going to write here math.floor. Then we have math.random. So this is a method, basically method.random. So we have to put parenthesis over here. Then we'll write here asterisk word list dot length. So we'll write here word list dot length. And finally, what we are going to do is we are going to change the word to uppercase. So that's why we are writing here to uppercase over here. So this is also a method. Now that's it. Let's print this word, and what we'll do is we'll write a console.log. We are going to print this word on a console. Fine. So here we are done with the task of picking up a random word from the list of words. Now the next thing we have to do is to work upon the body of this game and then on the screen keyboard. Now the next thing we have to do is to work upon the body of this game and the on-screen keyboard we have on our web page. But before that, let's save this program once. Move back to the browser, open console, and here you can see again on refreshing the web page, the word is changing over here. It's taking a random word from the word list. You can see on refreshing we have river as of now. I'm not sure if you guys are able to see it, so let me zoom it out a bit. Now I've refreshed this page and you can see the word is changing over here. We have a list of words and a random word will be picked at once. So here you can see it. Now it's working totally fine. So let's move on, and now we'll write the code for the body and the on-screen keyboard. So we'll write here window dot onload. So we'll write here window dot onload, and on loading we are going to create a function. Fine. So we are going to initialize. So we are going to write here initialize, and we are going to call this initialize function. Fine. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to create this function. So we'll write here function initialize. Now what we have to do is we have to create the game board now. So for that we are going to use the for loop. We are going to write here for let r is equals to 0. So the initial value of r is going to be 0. R is less than height. So this is the condition, and we are going to write here r plus plus. Fine. Now inside the body of this for loop we have to take another for loop. We have to take the for loop for column as well. So we are going to write here for, let's say we have a variable c and the initial value is set to 0 and the condition is going to be c less than the width. So we'll write here c less than width, and then we'll write here c plus plus. Fine. Now we have to write here again this curly braces because we are going to write inside this for loop now. So we'll write here let tile. So tile is a class we have in a CSS file. So we have used tile over here. We'll write here document dot create element. So we are going to use document dot create element over here, and then we are going to write here span. Fine. Now the next thing we have to write here is the tile ID. So we'll write here tile dot ID is equals to r dot toString. Fine. So we have to write here r dot toString is a method. So then we have to write here plus. Now inside double inverted commas we have to put a dash over here. Then we have to write here plus, and we have to add the c value over here. So first we'll convert the value of C to string and then we'll add it over here. So we'll write here plus C dot to string. So we'll write here C dot to string. We are going to call this method again, and that's it. Fine. The next thing we have here is tile dot class list. Then what we'll do is we'll write over here add, and we are going to add the tile class over here. So we are going to write here tile, and the next thing we have to do is tile dot inner text. So we have to write here inner text, and we have to give the value as null over here. Fine. The next thing we have to do is we have to write here document dot get element by id. Then we have to get the element of, basically we have to get the value of board. So what we are going to do is we are going to pass here board, and we are going to pass append child over here. So we'll write here append child, and we are going to append the values of board and tile. So we'll write here tile. Fine. That's it. Save the program, move back to the browser, and you can see we have this board over here. So you can see the board over here. We are able to see it. So we have 5 columns. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 rows over here. Fine. So it is working totally fine till now. Now let's create the keyboard as well. So we have to write here after this for loop. So what we are going to do is we are going to create a keyboard. So let's write a comment over here. We'll write here keyboard, and we'll start writing the code over here. So we are going to take a variable over here. So let's say the variable name is keyboard, and now what we have to do is we have to write the values present inside the keyboard. We already have those values over here. So we'll copy these from here, and we are going to paste them over here. Fine. So let's do one thing. Let's write it this way. So we have the keyboard over here. We have all the keyboard keys of the keyboard. You can see we have Q, W, E, R, T, Y, U, I, O, P. Then we have the next line, and finally we have the enter key, Z, X, C, V, B, N, M, and backspace. Fine. So this is a symbol for backspace. Basically, you can download it from Google as well. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to define here a for loop. We'll write here for. We are going to take a keyword, let I is equals to 0. Then we have I less than keyboard dot length, and then we have I plus plus over here. Fine. So now inside this for loop, what we are going to do is we are going to take a variable. So we'll write here where current row. So we'll write here where current row is equals to keyboard, and what we are going to do is we are going to pass here I inside this. Then we have let keyboard row is equals to, then we'll write here document dot create element. So we'll write here document dot create element, and we are going to create a div tag over here. Fine. So we'll write here div, then we'll write here keyboard row dot class list dot add. We are going to add the keyboard row class over here. So we'll define this class later in the CSS file. Keep this thing in mind. We'll write here keyboard row. So we'll write here keyboard, and then we'll write here hyphen. Fine. So this is going to be a class. We are going to define it later in the CSS part. I keep mentioning it again and again so that you guys will remember what we have to do later on. So we'll take another for loop over here. Let's say we have a variable named as j. We'll write here let j is equals to 0, j less than current row dot length, and we'll pass j plus plus over here. Fine. Now we'll write inside the body of this for loop again. So we'll write here let key tile. So we'll write here let key tile is another variable we have taken over here. So we are going to write here document dot create element, and then we'll create a div tag over here. So we'll write here div, and then we'll write here let key. So key is another variable over here, so we'll write here current row and we'll pass j inside it. So we'll write here key tile dot inner text. So we'll write here key tile dot inner text is equals to, and we are going to pass the value of key over here. Fine. Then after this we'll use the if else statement. So we'll write here if key is equals to enter. So what will happen is the key tile ID will change to enter. So what we are going to do is we are going to write here inside this key tile dot ID is equals to enter, and we have to use the else if statement as well for other keys. So we'll write here else if key is equals to backspace. So we have a symbol for backspace here, so we'll copy it from here, we'll paste the symbol over here, and now inside the body of this else if statement we'll write key tile dot ID is equals to backspace. Fine. So the ID is going to be backspace. Then we have another else if, so we'll write here else if, we'll write here a, and we'll put less than equals to sign, and we'll write here key, we'll pass another condition. So we'll write here key is less than equals to z. Then what will happen is the key tile ID is going to be key plus key. Fine. And that's it. We are going to add an event listener over here to process the key. So after this what will happen is we'll put a semicolon over here first, and after the body of this else if tag what we have to do is we have to write here key tile dot add event listener. So we have to add an event over here. We'll write here click comma process key. Fine. So this is going to be the event, and now we have to write some more code over here. So we'll write here if, and we'll write here key is equals to enter again. Then what will happen is key tile, the key tile dot class list. So we are going to add a class over here. So we'll write here add, and we are going to name the class as, let's say, enter key tile. Fine. So we'll create this class later on in the CSS part again. Then we'll write here else, and we are going to write here key tile dot class list dot add, and let's say we have the class name is key tile. Fine. That's it. Then after this we have to write here keyboard row dot append child. So we have to write here keyboard row dot append child. Now we are going to append the key tile class over here. So we'll write here key tile, and after this we have to write here document dot body dot append child, and we have to write here keyboard row. Fine. So that's it. Now we'll do this letters entering task from the system keyboard as well. That's basically the keyboard we have in our system. So for that what we are going to do is we are going to write here document dot add event listener. So we are going to add an event. Then we'll write here key up. Key up is going to be the event. Then we'll write here e inside this, and we'll create an arrow function over here. So this is going to be an anonymous arrow function. Now inside the body of this function, what we'll do is we'll write here process input, and we are going to pass E over here. Fine. So this is basically the keyboard part we have. Save the program, move back to the browser, and we'll see. You can see the process key is not defined over here is the error. So we'll define the process key later. Now what we'll do is we'll write the CSS part for the keyboard, and for that we'll move back to the CSS file. So here we are in the CSS file, and what we'll do is we'll define the classes over here. So the first class we have is the keyboard row class. So we'll write here dot keyboard row. Now we'll write over here width of the keyboard. Width is going to be 400 pixels. Then we have margin. So we'll write here margin. Margin is going to be 0 and auto for this keyboard. Then we have the display as flex, and finally we have the flex wrap. Flex wrap is going to be wrap, and that's it for the keyboard row class. Then we have the key tile class. So we'll write here key tile, and now inside this what we are going to do is we are going to mention the width again. Width of the key tile is going to be 36 pixel. Then the height we have of this key tile, so we'll write here height. Height is going to be 40 pixels, let's say. Then we have margin. So margin is going to be 1 pixel again for the key tile. Then we have the border. Border is going to be 1 pixel solid in nature, and the RGB value is 12, 12, 12, which is black. So then we have the border radius. Border radius is going to be 5 pixels again. And then we have to mention the font family for the text. So the font family is going to be this one. And then we have Cambria, Cochin, Georgia, Times, Times New Roman, and Serif over here. Fine. Now the next thing we have to mention for the text is the font size. So we are going to write here font size as 20 pixels. Then we have font weight. Font weight is going to be bold. Then we have the display. Display is going to be flex. And finally we have to justify content at the center. Fine. Then we have to align these items at the center as well. And that's it. Now we have to write the code for the enter key tile. So we'll write here dot enter key tile, and inside here we have to mention the width. Width is going to be 76 pixels for the enter key. You have seen the enter key is bigger in size than other keys, so we have to mention the height. Height is going to be the same as 40 pixels. Then we have margin. Margin is going to be 1 pixel again for this enter key, and we have the border as well. Border is going to be 1 pixel solid. So we have to write here 1 pixel solid, and the RGB value is going to be 0, 0, 0. So we'll remove this blue and green from here, and that's it. The RGB value is black basically. Then we'll write here border radius. Border radius is again going to be 5 pixel for the enter key as well. Now we have to mention for the text as well. So the font size is going to be 20 pixels. Then we have font weight. So font weight is going to be bold, and then we have display as flex. Finally we have justify content at the center, and we have to align items at the center as well. Fine. So we are done with the enter key tile as well. Now what we'll do next is we'll move back to the JavaScript part, but before that let's save this program and we'll move back to the browser once again. You can see it says process key is not defined. We'll define it later on. So for now let's move back to the JavaScript part again. Now what we have to do is we have to create a function over here. So we are going to create the function process input. Before we move on to the process input function, what we'll do is we'll create the process key function because we are getting the error for this again and again. So we'll write here function, then we'll write here process key. Now inside the body of this function, what we have to do is we have to write here e is equals to code, and then we'll write here this dot id. Fine. So I guess it will work fine. Then what we have to do is we have to write here process input, and we have to pass e over here. Fine. We have to call the process input function from here. So save this program, move back to the browser, and you can see now we have the keyboard over here. So you can see on clicking any key over here, it says process input is not defined. So let's define it as well first, and then we'll see if the keyboard is working totally fine or not. So for the process input function, we have to write here function, then we'll write here process input. We have to pass e as a parameter over here, and we'll write inside the function if game over is true, then return from here. Fine. Now we have to write the e dot code over here. So we'll write here if key a is less than equals to e dot code, and then e dot code is less than equals to key z. Then what will happen, we'll write here inside the if block, we'll write if column is less than width. So we'll write here let current tile. So we'll write here let current tile is equals to document dot get element by id. So we'll write here get element by id, and id is going to be row dot to string plus, then we'll put a dash over here, or we can say a hyphen. We'll add, what we'll add is we'll add call dot to string. Fine. So we'll write here call dot to string. This is again a method. So we have to write here this, and we have to write here row dot to string. Fine. So I guess this will work totally fine now. Now after this, what we'll do is we'll write here again if. So we'll write here current tile dot inner text is equals to nothing. Then inside the body of this if statement, we'll write current tile dot inner code, or we can say inner text over here. So we have to write here current tile dot inner text equals to e dot code. So we have to write here 3. Then we have to change the value to column plus is equals to 1. Fine. So we have to mention the else if statement as well. So we'll write here after this if statement, we'll write here else if e dot code is equals to backspace. Now we'll delete the letter. So we'll write here backspace, and inside the body of this else if, we'll write if 0 is less than call. So we'll write here 0 less than call, and call is less than equals to width. Then what will happen is call minus is equals to 1. So basically what we are doing is we are deleting the letter. So we'll write here this, and after this else if, what we have to do is we have to write here inside the else if only, we'll write let current tile. So we have to write here current tile is equals to document dot get element by id. Then we'll write here row dot to string. So we'll write here row.toString. This is a method. Then we'll write here the same thing again. And we have to write here call.toString. Fine. So this is a method again. We are good with it. And the next thing we are going to do is we are going to write here current tile.innerText is equals to null over here. Fine. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to write the code for enter key as well. So we'll write here, after this we'll write here else if e dot code is equals to enter, and what we have to do is we have to call the update function. Fine. So this is going to be a function. We are going to create the update function after this function, so don't worry about it. Now what we'll do is we'll write here if game is not over, so we'll write here not game over, and then row is equals to height. And what will happen inside the body of this if tag, we have to write here game over is equals to true, and we have to write here document dot get element by id, and we have to get the id of the answer. So we'll write here answer dot inner text is equals to word. So we are going to print the word. Fine. If the row is equals to height and the game is not over, so basically if we have all the blocks filled, we have all the rows filled, and if the last row is also filled, then what will happen is it will print the answer in word. So it will print the word as the answer. Fine. So save it now, move back to the browser, and we'll see. So you can see as of now this thing is not working, but we have no error over here. So let's refresh it once, and you can see there's no error still. So I guess it will work fine after we'll do the update function as well. So let's write over here. What we are going to do is we are going to create the update function for rest of the things. We'll check the input given by the user here only. So what we'll do is we'll write here function update, and what we have to do is we have to write here a variable. So let's say let guess is equals to null. For now we are going to take a variable guess, and then what we'll do is we'll write here document dot get element by id. Now what we are going to do is we are going to use the answer. So we are going to write here answer dot inner text is equals to null for now. Now what we have to do is we have to string up the guesses into a word. So basically what we have to do is we have to take all the letters from a particular row and we have to pile them up in a word. So what we'll do here is we'll write here for, let's take a variable c is equals to 0. We'll write here c is less than width. So let's write here c is less than width and c plus plus. Fine. Now what we'll do is we'll write here let current tile is equals to document dot get element by id, and we have to write here again row dot to string plus, then we have to put a hyphen over here, then we have to put a plus, and we'll write here call dot to string. Fine. Now the next thing we have to do here is we have to take another variable. So we'll write here let letter is equals to current tile dot inner text. So we'll write here current tile dot inner text, and then what we have to do is we have to add this value to a guess variable. So we'll write here guess plus is equals to letter. Fine. So we are done with this for loop. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to update the value of guess, and we have to change the guess to lowercase now. So we'll write here guess dot to lowercase. Fine. So we have to write here to lowercase. This is again a method, so we have to put parenthesis over here. This is case sensitive basically. Then we'll put it on the console. So we'll write here console.log and we'll write here guess. Fine. Now what we are going to do is we are going to check if the guess is present in the guess list or not. Fine. So for that, what we are going to do is we are going to write here. So let's put some space over here. We'll write here if not guess list dot includes what guess. If the guess list does not include the guess, so what will happen is we'll write here document dot get element by id, and we are going to write here answer. So instead of answer, what will be there is dot inner text is equals to not in the word list or not in word list. Basically over here we'll write not in word list, and that's it. Fine. Now what we have to do is we have to write here return. We have to return this thing. So that's it. We are done with this guess part. Now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to start processing the guess we have. So for that, what we'll do is we'll take a variable correct. The initial value of correct is going to be 0, and let's say we have another variable letter count. Fine. So we are going to take, so basically what we are going to do is we are going to keep a track of letter frequency. So that's why we are doing it. Now what we have to do here is we have to write here for. We are going to use another for loop. So let's say we have a variable I with initial value as 0, and then we have I is less than word dot length, and we have I++ over here. Fine. So basically we are done with the for loop. Let's write inside the body of this for loop. What we'll do is we'll write letter is equals to word, and then we have to check the word. So we'll write here I, then we'll use if letter count of letter, and we'll write here inside the body of this if statement letter count letter plus is equals to 1. Fine. Now what we'll do is we'll write after this else. Now inside the body of else, what we'll do is we'll put the letter count to 1. So we'll write here letter count. Now inside this we'll write letter is equals to 1. Fine. So basically what we have to do is we have to write here after this console.log, and we have to print the letter count. Fine. So till now we are done with this. Now what we'll do is we'll check for the first iteration. We'll check for all the correct ones first. So what we'll do is we'll write here after this for. We are going to use another for loop for this. So let's say we have a variable c. The initial value of c is set to 0. We'll check the width of c. So we'll write here c is less than width. Then what will happen is c will increase. So we'll write here c++. Now inside the body we'll write let current tile is equals to document dot get element by id. Now we are going to write here the same thing again, row dot toString. We have a method as row dot toString. Now we have to put a hyphen over here. Then we have to put call dot toString over here. Fine. Now we have to take the letter variable. So we'll write here letter is equals to current tile dot inner text. So basically it has the value of the current tile. So we'll write here current tile dot inner text. So is it in the correct position? Now we are going to check it. Fine. So we'll write here if word. So what is the word? C is equals to letter. Then what will happen is the current tile value. So we'll write here current tile dot class list dot add. So basically we are going to create a class for correct, which will change the background color of that particular key and of that particular box or tile. Fine. So we'll write here correct. So we are going to create this class in the CSS part. Now after this, what we have to do is we have to write here let key tile is equals to document dot get element by id. So we have to write here key plus letter. Fine. Then we have key tile dot class list dot remove. So we have to write here the present class, and then we have to write here key tile dot class list dot add the correct class. So we'll write here correct. Fine. So we are going to define these two classes in the CSS part. Now the next thing we have to do is we have to increase the value of correct by 1. So we'll write here correct plus is equals to 1. Fine. Then we have letter count, and we are going to decrease the value of letter count by 1. So we'll write here minus is equals to 1. Let's put some space over here as well so that it will look good to you guys. Now we are done with the letter count as well. So what we'll do next is we are going to write here after this particular if statement. So right here we are going to write if correct is equals to width, then what will happen is game over will change to true. Fine. This is another condition we have. Now what we have to do next is we have to write here. So basically what we are going to do is we are going to print the console, or we can say we are going to print the letter count on the console. So we'll write here letter count inside console.log. And now what we'll do is we'll go again and mark which ones are present but in the wrong position. That means the yellow color ones, right? So we'll write here after this console.log, we'll write for, we are going to use another for loop. So we'll write here let c is equals to 0 again, c is less than the width. So we'll write here c less than width, then we'll increase the value of c by 1. So we'll write here c++, then we'll write here let current tile is equals to document dot get element by id. So we are going to write here row dot to string, and then we have this hyphen over here, and we'll write here plus call dot to string. Fine. So we are going to take the values of these, and then after this what we are going to do is we are going to set the value of letter variable. So we'll write here let letter is equals to what's present inside the current tile. So we'll write here current tile dot inner text, and the next thing we are going to do is we are going to skip the letter if it has been marked correct. So for that what we have to do is we have to use the if statement. So we'll write here if not current tile dot class list dot contains, what it contains is the correct class. So we'll write here correct. If it contains correct, what will happen is we'll check if it is present in the word. We have to make sure that we don't double count, right? So what we'll do is we'll write here again inside this if statement. We'll take another if statement and we'll write here word dot includes. Now we have to write here letter and we have to mention it over here. After this we have to write here letter count. Now what we have to do is we have to write here letter and we have to write here greater than 0. Fine. Now what will happen is we'll write here current tile dot class list dot add. We have to add it to present class, so we'll write here present. Fine. Now what we have to do is we have to write here let tile is equals to document dot get element by id. What we have to do is we have to write here key plus letter. Fine. Okay, so we have to write here after this. What we have to do is we have to take another if. Fine, so we'll write here if not key tile dot class list dot contains which class? The correct class. So we'll write here correct and we'll write here inside this key tile dot class list dot add. What we have to add over here is the present class. Fine. Now what we'll do is we'll deduct the value of letter count by 1. So we'll write here letter count and we have to pass letter inside here and we'll write here minus is equals to 1. Fine. Now what we have to do is we have to write the code for else as well. So we'll write here else. Now what we'll write inside else is current tile dot class list dot add. Which class we have to add now is the absent class. Fine, so we'll write here absent. We are going to describe this class or we are going to define this class in the CSS part later on. So for now we have to write here absent and we have to change the value of key tile. So we'll write here key tile is equals to document dot get element by id. We have to write here again key plus letter. Fine. So let's put a space over here and that's it. What we have to do is we have to change the key tile class as well. So we'll write here key tile dot class list dot add. Which class we have to add again is the absent class. Fine. We are almost done with the JavaScript part as well. What we have to do is we have to start a new row for a new word. So we'll increase the value of row as row plus equals to 1, start a new row, and we have to change the column value to 0 again. Fine. So basically we are done with it. So before we move on to the final outcome, let's do one thing. Let's go through the CSS part once again and we'll define these three classes, the correct, present and absent class. Fine. Save the JavaScript part here. Save it now and let's move back over here, and what we'll do is we'll write after this tile class. What we'll do is we'll write over here dot correct. We are going to define the correct class first. So the correct class, the background color is going to be this one, hash 3fc, and the value is 031. So the green color, basically the font color will change to white. So we'll write here color as white, and then we have border color. So border color will also change to white. Fine. Then we have the present class as well. So we'll write here present, and inside the present class the background color will change, and the value of background color is hash f5ce23. Fine. So this is basically yellow color. So the color and the background color will remain the same. So we have to write here border color, not background color. So we'll write here border color, and again we are going to define the border color here. Fine, so we'll write border color. So border color is going to be white in this case as well. Now we have to define the absent class as well. So we'll write here absent. For the absent class, the background color will change to gray. Fine, so we'll write here hash 787 C7E. Fine. So this is the gray color we have. The color is going to be white, and then we have the border color. Fine, so the border color is again going to be white. That's it. We are done with everything now. Save the program, save the JavaScript part and the HTML part once again. Move back to the browser, and here you can see we have a program. So if we click on the keyboard, so it's not working as of now. Maybe we have some error over here. So let's check it out once again. We'll move to the JavaScript part. And if we can see here, key tile is fine. So we have to write here key tile like this. And let's check the other key tile as well. So everything else is fine. Save the program now. Save the CSS part and the HTML part as well. Move back to the browser, and I hope this will work now. So you can see it's working as of now. Now we have written over quote. You can see it says not in word list. We have quote over here. So the word we have is title. Let's write title over here, and you can see the second line is not working. So we have to get back to this, and we have save it now. Move back to the browser. Okay, it's working now, and you can see, so the word we have here is hyped. So let's try to write, okay, we have to remove this first. That's why it was not working. So we have to write here another word. Let's say we have a word mango. Click on enter, and you can see now it's working fine. Now the word we have here is hyped. So we'll write here hyped. Click enter, and you can see we have all greens over here. You can see the word count as well. We have HYPED as 11111. And we have all the words here in the console. So you have seen here, the program is working totally fine. The task is done here. And with that, we come to the end of this Wordle game tutorial. If you enjoyed watching the video, do give it a thumbs up, comment your doubts below, and the experts will answer them for you. Thank you so much for being here. Watch out for more videos from us. Until then, keep coding and stay tuned to SimpliCode.